I think let's start with the gustation olfaction one, since that's going to be the one that is most the best segue to what we've just been talking about. So lab. Typically there's a few different parts to this one, but given our pandemic situation, there's just going to actually be one piece. It's one that's actually a lot of fun and that you'll have to do at home, but I'm going to explain how it works right now. So I am going to share. All right, so here we are in the modules. And here it says Gustation and Olfaction Lab. Open up the PDF here just so you can take a look at it. You know, if you take a look at it, there are actually, it looks like there's part 1A, 1B. We are not doing part 1 at all. You know, in part 1A, where you dry the surface of your tongue and put sugar on it and wait until you can taste something, does anybody have a sense of what you might experience if you put sugar on your tongue, but your tongue was completely dry? You use like a paper towel to dry the tongue. Do you have any sense of what you might find?
A delayed response to tasting the sugar
Why would be that?
because the saliva isn't getting the sugar into the taste buds where it's received.
Exactly. So, and in fact, if you do a really good job of drying out the tongue, you could let the sugar, a little pile of sugar, sit on your tongue for like, 2, 3 minutes. You'll never taste anything unless the molecules are dissolved in saliva. Then they're not going to be able to bind the receptors. So that's all that you would see there. Plotting the taste bud distribution. This is just kind of fun, but it's basically showing you that, like, some of the old textbooks used to talk about taste being like sugars on the front and bitters on the back and blah blah blah. But if you start actually mapping out the tongue, you realize that there are taste buds for all the tastes all over the place, except like right in the middle of the tongue is the only place you don't have taste buds really. So not worrying about any of that. This is the part we're going to do. The combined effects of smell and texture on taste. This is what I've been talking about, how the experience of taste is actually not just your gustation, not just your taste buds. It's a combination of the texture of the taste and the feel, and as well as other things like the heat, like the capsaicin and stuff. When you do this, you're basically gonna have to come up with like maybe 5 different kinds of food. When we do it in lab, we set it up for you. We usually have like little bits of cheddar cheese or bits of apple or bits of banana. It's like you basically cut the food into little cubes, and there's going to be 3 stages. First, where the subject manipulates, so they hold their nose. They don't have their eyes, they don't see it because vision gives you a sense of what it is. You hold your nose so you can't sniff, so your olfaction is not working. And then you just have them put it in their mouth. You don't chew it yet because we just want the texture. We just want the touch receptors. So they put the food in their mouth with their nose closed, no chewing, eyes closed, manipulate with the tongue, and see if they know what food it is. Record. You're sitting there with your lab notebook. Like, do they recognize it? Do they have any comments? You write it down. Second, chew the food. So they keep their nose closed so there's no smell yet, but now they chew it, get it with the saliva, get the taste buds have a chance to come in and see, do they add enough information now? Now do you know what the food is? Write down what they're experiencing. And then third, have them let go of their nose. Now they got all three happening. They can smell it, they can taste it, they can feel it. Now do they know what it is? Um, so you're basically going to make a little chart like this. What is the type of food? Did they ID it using only texture, or maybe with texture and taste but without the smell, or did they need all of them, or maybe they didn't ever identify it at all? And then discuss a little bit. You know, how important were different senses? Was it different for different kinds of food? Right? So that is the only thing you need to do for this special senses, gustation and olfaction. It's just this part 2 right here.
I have a question. Should we include that part one in the lab book without any? Okay.
No. So it says part 1, gustation, skip. Part 2, do this as home as described. However, you must prepare your own food cubes. Pick 5 different foods and create one little cube about a centimeter cubed. Could be apple, carrot, potato, cheese, banana, whatever you want. Cucumber. Um, Pick things. I would say when you're doing it, pick things that you think might be more familiar and things that are less familiar. The reason why we usually put something like a little piece of potato or something, things that people aren't as used to eating. So that way you can get a sense of if familiarity with the food makes a bunch of difference or not. But I need a power. But just kind of reiterate. Let me stop this. You're going to have your subject here. They do not see. They don't have to have a blindfold on, but I'm putting this on here so you can see that it looks like they can't see. So it's important that they don't see. Now it looks like a teenage mutant turtle or something. So they're not using vision. I mean, there's actually a lot of research showing that what you see influences what you taste. If you just taste some sweet fruity thing and it's red, you're much more likely to taste a strawberry, and if it's blue, it's going to be a blueberry or something, right? Your vision actually influences your experience and identification of food quite a bit. So they should not see what they're doing, and they're going to sit here with their kind of mouth open. Again, a little centimeter cube of food. Usually we put them on a toothpick so you can get it in their mouth. And also, to start with, they're holding their nose. So for the first part, they're holding their nose. You put the food in. They're just moving it around their tongue. Texture, just feel. And then they can talk. They're going to talk kind of funny. I'm not sure what this is, or I think it's an apple, or whatever. And then step 2, they use their teeth and they chew it up, and it gets dissolved in their saliva, and they smush it around with their tongue so they can taste it. So 1 is just texture, 1 is just the feel, 2 is gustation. You're chewing, but you're still not smelling. It isn't until the last stage, stage 3. Stage 3 is when you take your hand away, and this is when you have smell, olfaction at the same time as well. And again, this is actually really fun, I think, and it can be kind of surprising how much the different senses contribute to your experience of the food and your identifying of the food. Like maybe you can tell just from the feel it's some maybe cheesy thing, but you have no idea what kind or whatever. So be, kind of just be kind of patient, have them come in, make sure you remember the 3 steps, make sure if you're working with your subject that they understand so they don't accidentally smell it too soon or something. So make sure your subject really understands the protocol because they're not going to see me talking to you like this. You have to be the experimenter really explaining the protocol clearly to your subject. Obviously, you can't do this to yourself because you know what the food is you're putting in your mouth, or even knowing. Don't let them know what the possibilities are because that's already going to influence it as well. Just reassure them that you are not being kind of mean and putting something totally gross in their mouth or something. Um, I still have kind of bad memories of the first time I had those. It's like, oh, look, Harry Potter themed jelly beans. That's so freaking cool. And it was like, what the heck is it's like I ate something that was like fart flavored or something. It was like that was just not fair. I was not expecting that. Um, all right. So, any questions about this for this lab? Okay. So that again, you've got the next week and a half, and you've got the break, maybe one of the mornings when you would have been in lecture, you can just do it with your somebody in the house. If you don't have anybody that you can do this with, because you obviously have to get close, so then we'll figure out some other thing.